Alright, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about an NES game called Burai Fighters. Or Burai Fighters, I guess I'm saying that right. Did you ever want to play like Akari Warriors, but you also wanted to play like Gradius, but you just couldn't make up your mind? Well, this game is for you. First up is going to be graphics. The graphics of the game are pretty good, pretty solid. There's quite a bit of detail in them. You know what everything is. The enemies look really cool. The bosses look pretty damn cool. All the different shots that you can fire and upgrade all look different. It's a good looking game. It's not the best looking game on the NES by far. It's not even a great looking game. It's a decent looking NES game. Alright, next up is sound and music. Now the sound effects are pretty good. From what I can tell, every different shot that you can fire has a different sound effect. And that's really cool. The explosions sound cool, the enemies exploding sound cool. There's not a lot of different sound effects to begin with. I mean, what can you really do? There's shots that you can fire, and then there's things exploding. Those are pretty much the extent of the sound effects. But the sound effects are solid for what they are. Now, music is pretty good. I found myself kind of humming along most of the time when I was playing. The only thing I found kind of weird was every time I paused and unpaused the game, the music track would just start the loop over. So you could just like have the track playing, pause, unpause, and then the track would just start back at the beginning of the track again. It just seemed like something they just missed in programming or something. I thought that was kind of funny. Alright, next up is story and narrative. Now for this game, as far as I can tell, there's no story or narrative. I don't have the box or the game manual, so I don't really know the backstory. From what I can tell, you're a guy in a jetpack shooting aliens. It's awesome. Alright, next up is gameplay, user interface, and controls. Like I said before, the gameplay is a little bit of a mix between the 4-directional shoot 'em up mixed with a side-scrolling shooter. Now, when I say this, I mean you will be flying through levels, but you can shoot in 4 directions. But you change directions by pressing the direction. Like you push up and your character will go up, press down, your character will go down. You know what? Let's just watch footage. You got checkpoints, you got infinite continues, and all those continues start you back right at the beginning of the level. The game is forgiving, but it's still really hard. The controls can be a little clunky at times. I found myself dying for no real reason. Controls can be a little sloppy. They're not the tightest. Now, what does this game do worst? The worst thing that this game does is it doesn't have enough character. It doesn't have that Nintendo-ness. If this game was a little bit more polished, it could have stood next to all the great shoot-'em-ups. Now, what does this game do best? Like I said before, it mixes two familiar genres that really aren't that far away from each other into one new kind of game. And it works pretty well for the most part. It has a real strategic kind of feel to it because you have to think. You can't just start shooting in a direction. While this game is a Twitch-based shooter, you definitely need to have forethought before you do things. Would I recommend this game? Yes, definitely. If you have an NES or any other thing that can play NES games and you like shoot 'em ups, definitely give this game a try. Pick it up for super cheap. I had a blast with it. I hope you guys do too. Thanks for watching today's episode of Random Games with Random Names. Y'all have a beautiful day, alright?